Hey everybody. Sorry as I'm getting started. This is my first time going live on YouTube and I got TikTok going over here too. Sorry, my camera's doing wonky stuff, but I'm excited to be live with you all and I'm excited to share with you my notes and what we're going to be talking about. Today we are talking about why you don't follow through. Poverty programming versus wealthy you. Oops, and I put versus survival. Just work with me, y'all. I'm a little tired tonight, but this is poverty programming versus wealthy you. Now, how I went from living in poverty to wealth. So let me tell you something real. You're not broke because you don't know what to do. You're broke because you don't follow through. And oops, I don't know why my camera on TikTok is doing this. So I apologize. But let me pull up YouTube and I'm just trying to figure stuff out. So just work with me, guys, as I am for the first time running two things at once, but I will get this. I'm just trying to figure out where my notes are. I don't know what program. Is it Keynote? No, it's not. Lord. Sorry. I'm having technical difficulties in this exact moment, but I'm going to get it together. Give me 2 seconds to. What app did my notes open in? Oh my God. Let me just do recents. This is really funny, y'all. Don't laugh at me, but here we go. I don't this isn't whatever. Anywho, I have no idea what's happening right now. So I apologize. This is not typical. I'm usually on it and ready to go, but I've never done dual platforms at the same time. So like I said, just bear with me a little bit as I am getting the hang of just trying to manage these two platforms at once. Anywho, so like I said, why you don't follow through. That's what we're talking about today. Um, and as I'm getting my notes in a place where I can actually read them, there we go. I'm behind this sidebar. Pull these over. I probably need to start doing this on my double screens if I'm gonna go dual. But anywho, what I got even my tripod is tripping, y'all. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm getting to it. I'm really gonna get this done correctly, but I'm like having stupid technical difficulties tonight. Anywho, all right. Let me tell you something real. You're not broke because you don't know what to do. You're broke because you don't follow through. And tonight we're going to break down why. By the end of this live, you'll understand the hidden poverty programming that's been running your money story, and you'll know how to retrain your brain for overflow instead of survival. And the thing you really need to listen about is I'm not just here to motivate you. By the end of this live, I've got an offer for you that is going to help you step into your wealthy place, because that's ultimately what I want for anybody who listens to me. I want you to stop living in survival mode. I want you to start living a life of freedom, financial freedom, whatever that looks like for you. So, like I said, I've got an offer that's going to help you step into your wealthy place, and I mean it, like it's for real. So stay with me because I don't want you to miss it. And as you all are coming in, make sure you're on TikTok, you're tapping the screen, sharing the live, and talk with me. Everybody that comes in, if you ask a question, I answer them. So for those of you, if it's your first time listening in, put a 1 in the comments. And from here, let's go ahead and I actually have a question for you as we're getting started. Have you ever told yourself, I know what to do, I just don't do it? If that's you, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Put a one in the chat because I know I'm not the only person who has ever been of the mind. I know what to do, but I just don't do it. All right. So as I'm waiting on y'all to put it in the chat and let me know if that's ever been you. And on YouTube, I'm sorry y'all if you're talking to me. I'm trying to figure out how to do these dual screens, but okay, there we go. I don't see. I'm gonna have my sidebar up over here. But yeah, as we are getting this going, what I want you to be, what I want you to understand is that most of us think our problem is discipline. We think that wealthy women are just stronger, better at saying no, better at budgeting. But the truth is, discipline isn't your problem. The real problem is poverty programming. You're stuck in the matrix. You're stuck in the cycle of go to work or go to not go to work, go to school, go to get your job, and then retire. And that programming is what's keeping you stuck. So, like I said, poverty programming, y'all, my voice today, I can't. It's fine. Poverty programming is the voice in your head that whispers, why bother? It won't work anyway. Have you ever said that to yourself? Let me know. It also says, money always leaves me. So what's the point? No matter how hard I try to hold on to it, it's not going to stay. No matter what I do, I'm never going to get out of this hole. People like me don't get wealthy, we just survive. People like me, money doesn't work for people like me. The system doesn't work for people like me. These are all the things that I've caught myself saying. These are all the things that I hear people tell me that they think on a day-to-day basis. Thank you so much for the likes, guys. But here's the truth. It's not true. Those that you can get out of the hole, you can be wealthy. You it will work for you if you work the process. But the problem is these voices feel so real because they sound like you. Am I wrong? These voices feel so real because they sound like you. They're the, like, I like to call them the mind monsters in our head that like to show up like they're keeping us safe because it's our voice playing back at us, but it's not the truth. They sound like your logic, your common sense, but it's programming. It's everything that you were taught. And remember, if you're living in the matrix, you were taught wrong. You're still drinking the tea of what they taught you, because remember, they taught you that time equals money, and it doesn't. They taught you that if you go to school, get a job, pay your bills, you'll be able to retire at 65 and live a good life. And how many people is that working for? This is all the brainwashing that they taught you, but it's it's not working, right? And what happens when you believe those voices? You quit before the results show up. You shrink your vision down to what feels safe. You convince yourself that struggle is normal and overflow is impossible. Because if the voices in your head that are on repeat sound like you and they're telling you that you can't do it, who else are we going to listen to, right? Am I wrong? Let me know. I can't be the only one. who's ever heard that voice that says, you know what, why bother? It's not going to work anyway. Money always leaves me, so what's the point? People like me don't get wealthy, we just survive. What I want you to catch is that those thoughts aren't proof, they're patterns. We are proving the patterns that we were taught, and they're not your destiny, they're just the programming, and programming can be changed. So, thank you for the likes. Hey, Latoya, how are you? Um, what I want to know is which one of the voices have you heard in your head? Because I want you to call it out right now. Because I want you to start creating a pattern of awareness when beliefs come in that don't align with who you really are. Like I said before, for me, the voice that played on repeat for me for a long time was money always leaves me, so what's the point? No matter what I do, I'll never be able to figure this out. That was my limiting belief for a long time. And I say that because I lived it. I have a six-figure job. And on paper, I was doing everything right. I had the house, the car, the lifestyle, everything looked stable. But behind closed doors, y'all, I was living paycheck to paycheck. $200,000 a year and living paycheck to paycheck. Make it make sense. My and the reason that that was happening was because I was trained for survival. I'll never forget the day that my subconscious mind caught up with the reality of the life I was living. I was on the phone yet again with my mom, frustrated because yet another expected bill had come up and I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay it. I literally said to her, this makes absolutely no sense. I make too much money to be living paycheck to paycheck. Why am I struggling so hard with this? I make too much money. And she didn't have an answer because that's all she ever knew. My mom was a single mom like me. She had 3 children, and all she ever knew was paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. And so for her, it was just another day. For me, it was like, this doesn't make sense. I have an accounting degree. I know how to manage personal finance. I know how to manage budgets for Fortune 500 companies. Why is it that my budget, while helping me stay on track, is failing me? And the truth is, I was living with survival thinking. I was living from a poverty mindset because that's that's the only way that you could have money coming in at the level you're coming in, or at the level I had it coming in, and still be broke. Every 2 weeks, $4,000 was coming into my bank account minimum because I'm in sales. So I'm an accountant by trade, but I'm in tech sales. Minimum, my base pay 4,000 every 2 weeks. And I couldn't make ends meet, or I could pay the bills. Let me not say I couldn't make ends meet. I could pay the bills, but I was struggling to go on vacation. I was struggling to buy a cup of coffee. I was struggling to just do fun for myself. And I realized the problem was I didn't know how to prioritize myself. I didn't know how to prioritize my finances and put me first. I still was believing that money was meant to be spent and that money was meant to just pay bills and nothing else. It sounds like you. So here's the good news. As I'm telling this story, I was able to change it. I was able to shift it, and now I don't live paycheck to paycheck anymore. But I had to recognize some things. I had to recognize that my brain was trained for survival. I knew how to hustle. I knew how to stretch a dollar. I knew how to make it work when things were tight, but I didn't know how to let myself actually rest in abundance. And by resting in abundance, I mean, I didn't know how to trust money to stay. If I kid you not, y'all, there were times when I would look at my bank account and money was sitting there and I'd be like, there's too much money here. I don't understand. I don't understand what bill has not been paid. I would go pull up my budget immediately and be like, this don't make sense. I shouldn't have this much money. That's wild. Why are you freaking out? Well, for me, it's Amber, why are you freaking out because you have money? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, I'm sorry. I think when when you hit rock bottom, I think that is a place where you can change your patterns and you can start back from scratch and you can do something different. And if you'll listen to the end of this live, we'll talk about what you can do different. Okay, good. I've been rock bottom too, so I understand. I've been through every season of life. So I want you to know that I've been there. I've lost it all. I've gained it all back and gone through it all. But what I had to figure out is that I was operating from a place of of poverty. It was never about the money coming in. It was about the mindset that was running the background. So my poverty programming was whispering, if you get ahead, it won't last. Hence, why is there so much money in my bank account? Every time money comes in, something will always take it away. There was always some kind of unexpected expense that even if I did manage to save something, I was it felt like poof, it was gone because something unexpected would come up. Or the other thing is people like you don't build wealth, they just survive. Everybody's in survival. Women, brown women, black women, we really struggle with that. Yep, like an outdated operating system, exactly. So I would just work harder, but I never felt wealthy. I was exhausted, and I mean exhausted and never satisfied. I was always working for the next thing. I'd achieve one thing and I could never bask in the achievement because I was like on to the next thing. And I kept thinking that discipline was my problem. And if anybody who knows me and knows me well, discipline with my finances was never an issue. I had the budget. I'm an accountant. I knew how to take care of my finances. I knew what I was supposed to do. I followed my budget to a T. It was not discipline. My nervous, but it was the problem was my nervous system was addicted to survival. I grew up in the home, like I said, single mom. We never had enough. There were seasons of life where I didn't even know if I was gonna have lights on. And that was just the truth. I didn't know if we were gonna have food. And that was just my reality. And so I brought that thinking into my adulthood, even though I had more than enough. My kids have never gone into a refrigerator and had to worry if they were going to eat. My kids have never had to worry about whether they could flip a switch and the lights would be off. But because I grew up in that environment, that is what I was bringing to the table, and I didn't know how to stop it. And I know some of you feel that same tug. I know I'm not the only one because there are people here listening to me right now. I know that there are people who have a vision, but they don't know how to execute it. You know what you should be doing, and you probably are doing a little bit of the work, but deep down, you don't trust that it's going to work. So you start, you stop, you move forward, then you pull back. And it's not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because your programming has trained you to believe that survival is safer than overflow. So, what I want to know from you is who feels this right now? Like the words that I'm speaking, are you feeling that in your chest? Like, have you ever felt like money comes in and it goes right back out no matter what you do? Let me know in the comments. And mhm. I appreciate the likes as well. Divine energy. And okay. So now we're going to go ahead and jump into how to break this down and step out of that poverty programming. So poverty programming shows up in three ways. And I want you to know how it shows up so that you can see where it's been running your life. So number one is you quit before results show. So you start the budget, but 2 weeks later, it's out the window. You start saving, but that first emergency makes you say, see, this doesn't work. But here's the truth. The budget didn't fail you. The savings account didn't fail you. What failed you was the belief that it should feel easy right away. And let me know. Did you think that just because you started a new pattern that it was going to be easy? Let me know. Yep. Poverty programming convinces you that short-term discomfort means permanent failure. I did it once. It was hard. So, you know what? It's never going to work. But here's the truth. Wealthy programming says short-term setbacks are normal because they are. Life is cyclical, life is up and down, and you going through the cycles of life doesn't mean that something isn't working. That means you need to reframe what's going on around you and recognize that I have to stay the course. I have to work the cycle. And if I keep coming back and creating a new pattern, it will now become truth in my life. That's what awareness is. That's how you reprogram. You need to be able to recognize that number one, it takes 21 days to create a new habit. And it takes, I want to say it's 90 days to see results, and it's 6 months for it to be a permanent groove in your brain. So that's the neuroscience of it. 21 days starts creating the pattern, and your brain starts to say, hey, maybe we can do this. 90 days says, you know what? I'm starting to see results, and 180 days makes it proof, makes it true. So it's not going to be easy the first time because you haven't stayed the course. But the long-term payoff is coming when you stay in the game. And that's what a lot of people don't recognize. They quit before they can see the proof. So so I think I already asked this question. So yeah, you said how many of y'all have started something and quit the minute it got hard? I know I have. I know every time. Uh-huh. I've been there. Y'all, I have never, up until I started teaching people how to shift out of survival mode, I've never had a successful business. I had all the information, I had all the schooling, I had all the stuff that I needed to be successful. But every time it got hard, I quit. Every single time. And so I can never see the success. So you're not alone. And that applies in a lot of different areas of life. You can apply this to working out. You can apply this to, relationships, any habits that you have if it feels uncomfortable. Hey, Jenny, how are you? Any habits that you have that feel uncomfortable, If you quit, this, I mean, it applies across life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're struggling with it in your finances, you might be struggling with it in other areas too. All right. So now we're going to move on to number 2. You confuse discomfort with danger. So that's just kind of bringing it full circle. When you start saving more than you spend, um, you'll you'll tell yourself you're not swiping that card again, right? And it feels uncomfortable. How many times have you been like, you know what? I'm not gonna go and buy anything this weekend because I've got a goal in place. And then you're sitting around kind of twiddling your thumbs because it's Saturday and you want to go out and have fun, but you told yourself you weren't gonna spend and you're uncomfortable and you're like, this is stupid. I'm going out. I'm about to go get that cup of coffee. I'm about to go hang out with my friends, whatever, right? I, I'm surely not the only one here, but maybe I'm wrong. Or here's a better one. I'm not gonna do Uber Eats anymore. I'm gonna cook at home. I'm gonna save the money on the delivery, and I'm deleting the apps. But then you have a hard day at work, or you get behind with the kids, and y'all need dinner. What do? Go re-download that app because it's uncomfortable. Because you're like, I forgot to pull something out for dinner, and now I don't have anything to cook, and I'm tired, and I don't have. I've gotta do all the things, right? And it's life. This is a no judgment zone. That is absolutely life. But we've all been there. This is uncomfortable and this is dangerous. And so you tell yourself you're not going to do it, but because your body only knows survival, we go back to the old pattern. Discomfort isn't danger. It just means you're stretching your new normal. It's signs that you're trying to shift a pattern. So that awareness is there. But when you're on a program, remember our brains and our bodies are designed to keep us safe. And if we've always done something the same way, when we try to shift to a new pattern, the first thing our bodies and our brains are going to signal to us is this is uncomfortable. Danger, danger. We can't go forward. This is not right. This is not how we typically operate. But if you can sit with the discomfort, most times I'll be real with you, especially with the Uber Eats one. If you can sit with it for about 5 minutes and remind yourself, hey, I've got a plan in place, and this is how I plan to shift my life, you'll get through the uncomfortable and then you'll be able to kick back in to this is the new plan. And it'll start to, and every time you start to override the discomfort, the new pattern gets firmer in your brain and it understands and it feels less and less uncomfortable. So who here has ever stopped something good because you felt like it was too uncomfortable? Is it just me? Oh, thanks for the likes. All right. So now, okay. I was gonna say surely it's not just me, but now we're going to talk about point 3. You believe survival is safer than overflow. Survival's familiar. Struggle feels normal. Overflow feels risky. How many of y'all are risk adverse? Meaning, if it smells like risk, you probably are like, I'm going the opposite direction. Or do I have a bunch of adrenaline junkies in here who are like, yep, give me. I have a friend. She's like, I want to go jump out of a plane. And I'm like, sis, you're good. I'm good. Like, she's willing to do all the crazy risky things, and that's great. Like, everybody to each their own. But me, I'm an accountant for a reason. I'm not the biggest. Risk doesn't feel comfortable to me. Um, so when your programming is designed to keep you safe and you're doing the opposite of your programming, that risk feeling becomes bigger. Like it almost feels like, because remember, emotions and feelings are designed to tell you that something is I, I want is different. I'm gonna say different because it's not good, it's not bad. Because emotions are really neutral. They're just designed in your body to tell you that something is not is different from the usual. And so when something feels risky, it's designed to make you stop, or for people like me who are risk adverse. So instead of building wealth, you're going to cling to struggle because at least you know how to survive there. But I need you to hear me. Survival is not safer. Honestly, survival will keep you stuck because it's familiar. And even if you think about it from the standpoint from the biblical standpoint, anytime God has called you to a different place, he's taken you out of what's familiar. Abraham had to leave his land. That's that's like the first example in the Bible, but there's multiple that go on with that. And familiarity is not the same thing as safety. Every time that I have had a major shift in my life, the familiar was there trying to keep me stuck. But the minute I shifted out of the familiar and allowed myself to feel uncomfortable, the biggest changes happened. The biggest changes. And that's what a lot of people don't like, that uncomfortable feeling that comes with leaving familiar. But overflow isn't dangerous, it's divine. And poverty programming has you circling those same cycles, which are going to keep you stuck. Wealth programming is always going to break the cycles and plant you into overflow. What are your boundaries that wealthy you would not cross? That's a question you need to ask yourself. Would wealthy me continue to participate in this in order to stay comfortable? Or would wealthy me say, you know what? I'm not available for broke habits anymore. I tell my kids that all the time because when we moved into our new house, I was determined that some of the habits that we kept in our old place were not staying with us. So I tell them this house is no longer available for broke habits. And I use that to relate to keeping up. I talk about stewardship and integrity a lot with my kids. My kids are probably tired of hearing me say it, but stewardship and integrity matter. And stewardship is going back to how you do one thing is how you do anything. Free. Okay, so just so you know, yep, no more broke habits. Just so you know, your freeze response is completely normal in terms of survival mode triggers fight or flight. So there's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So a lot of times, the reason that we are stuck in survival mode is because we're outside. We are living outside of what my therapist would call your window of tolerance. And your window of tolerance causes you to go into a depressed state or what's the word? A heightened state of arousal. And so freeze goes into that depressed state, meaning I don't know where to go. I don't know how to move. And if you are in survival mode, you tend to live there. So when you get uncomfortable, it's an automatic response. But what you can do to help yourself snap out of it is, number one, you have to have the awareness that, hey, I'm freezing right now. And you have to ask yourself, what about this situation is making me feel uncomfortable? Because you can't snap out of it if you're not aware of what's causing it. Oh, I'm so glad that this is timely. I really am. Since I lived in freeze for I've lived in freeze during my divorce. For the first couple of years after my divorce, I was frozen. Ask anybody. I didn't have any. I didn't know what to do. It took me a while, so I understand being in it for a long time. It took me a while to snap out of it because the whole rug got pulled out from underneath me when all of that went down. I did freeze. But I've also been in fight. Fight is just as detrimental. It's a different survival mechanism. It's all my like when I think of fight, I always think of Celia. All my life I had to fight, um, and that's how I felt for most of my life. Doing something new, trying to learn and build. Yeah, yes, yes, but that's okay. You can do new things. I tell myself that. Oh, thank you. I had to tell myself that I can do new things and I'm safe doing new things because I'm creating new patterns. I have to support myself in that. And I have to, and I don't know if you all are like me, but when I feel my emotions coming up and when I feel myself freezing or when I feel myself panicking, I literally feel it in my chest. Like it is a my I don't have a poker face. Like my friends, they kind of laugh at me because when they say stuff to me and it triggers me, my whole body it's a whole body reaction. And they kind of look at me like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Give me a second. I need to figure this out." Yes, so bad. And for me, I tend to, when I get in that state, I literally have to be like, okay, I feel like my chest it starts to literally get tight. And I have to be like, okay, you're safe. What about this situation makes you feel uncomfortable? And I might have to ask myself that a few times. I might need to take a minute. I might need to do some deep breathing just so that I can get my heart rate and honestly, to get my chest to stop caving in on me so that I can start to process through what's really happening. And that's what's going to help you to start to recognize how to step out of that state. Because a lot of times we're stuck in the state because we don't actually understand the emotions and the thoughts behind it. And a lot of times it's not what's happening in that moment. It's reminiscent of something that happened to you in the past that you haven't worked through. So for me, when I think about when I think about money, because I had such a tumultuous relationship with money growing up with my mother, anytime something looks uncomfortable, I have to remind myself because the me that's trying to take over is the teenage me, not the 37-year-old woman who has her finances in line. It's the teenage me that's starting to panic, like, oh gosh, what's gonna happen when something just kind of looks not quite right, right? Oh, I wasn't expecting that to come out today. Or I got a call, like real talk. This just happened this month. My water bill did something really wonky. Um And it was because they changed some stuff in the billing, and it was about $100 higher than normal, and I was confused. And I wanted to panic in that moment, but then I had to remind myself, I'm like, but you have the $100. Why are you panicking right now? And then I also thought about it because of the way they changed the billing last month. The bill was about $100 less, so it was just the way that they changed something in the billing. So it wasn't even anything that was. It wasn't even. It didn't even make sense. That's essentially what I'm saying. Like, it didn't even make sense. My bill last month was $100 less. This month it was $100 more. I had the same amount of consumption, but I was panicking because of the number. The number made me panic. And the number shouldn't make you panic unless it's triggered something in you. What if I'm not going to be able to pay that bill? What if there isn't enough? But the truth is, overflow is all around us, abundance is all around us. And it shows up everywhere, but you're probably not focused on it because you're too busy focusing on what's happening in survival mode instead of looking around you and seeing the God that has provided all of your needs day in and day out, over and over and over again. Because that's who God is. He is a provider, he's a protector. He wants us to live in overflow, but we got put into the programming of this world, and the programming of this world told us that you're going to work to pay bills, you're going to retire, and that's just it. But that's not truth. So, in terms of what we have covered so far, I guess we'll recap real quick. We You're stuck because you quit before results show. You confuse discomfort with danger. And you believe survival is safer than overflow. And I'm going to be real with you. You don't break your poverty programming with good intentions. You break it by retraining your brain daily. And I created a journal just to do that. It's called Breaking the Poverty Mindset. And it's a journal set up for financial abundance. And it walks you through spotting those patterns. It helps you rewire your money story. And it helps you build the overflow identity piece by piece, recognizing when you're triggered, recognizing how your story has created the patterns that you're living in today. So if that's something you're serious about shifting, links in my bio, you can grab it today. Oh, thank you for the daily heart, me, Keisha. That's it, all right. Yeah, Keisha. Sorry, that was tiny. But now I want to give you an actual practical shift exercise so that you can see how you're going to start walking through shifting your mindset, breaking out of poverty. So, like I said, we've been talking about poverty programming, but now we need to talk about how we retrain our brain. And what I want you to do, if you can, you don't have to, but if you can, grab a pen, type it in the notes in your phone, whatever works for you right now. But I want you to write down one thought that's been holding you back. And when I say something that's been holding you back, something that you catch yourself saying over and over again. Making sure it aligns with your vision. Yes. Because if it doesn't align with your vision, you're never going to be able to stay on course. Like, alignment in anything is how follow through is able to take place. Part of the reason, and I said this early on. Oh, okay. Sorry. You were talking about being aware of your spending. Yes. So most people fail at stepping out of paycheck to paycheck because they aren't aware of the patterns that they have. All money. Yep. And all your money aligns with everything. Yep. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That is a lot of everything that I speak about when I break these things down are all these are things I had to figure out on my own. And I was like, there are enough people out here that they weren't taught how to manage their money. They weren't taught how to make sure that how that their goals align with who they are and their financial um their budgets aren't set up to help them move forward. What a lot of us are just freeballing it. I don't know how else to say it. We're just like, okay, I got these bills. I need to make sure they're paid, but we don't have the vision for where we're going with our finances. We're just going to school, going to work, paying our bills, and retiring. Yep. Money doesn't like to be stagnant. That's why it's called a currency. It's meant to flow. But if you don't put it into use the way that it's meant to, it's not going to it'll continue to flow, but it's not going to flow to you in the way that you want it to. If you're just using it as a way to pay bills and not thinking about it as the tool that it is and making it work for you, it's never going to work for you. That's how I think about it. Money was always meant to be a tool. It was always meant to help you make more money. But if you're just operating from a place of I'm just going to spend, 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 yes, you have the ability to make more money. But at some point you need to utilize the tool for how it's developed. And at some point you need to utilize the tool to help you to break out of the cycle of always having to work hard for your money, because time and money are not equal. They aren't even your time. You should instinctually know. I think most people instinctually know that your time is far more valuable than your money. Thank you for the roses. And so if you're constantly saying, I'm just going to work harder, I'm just going to keep working, you're defeating the purpose. If you utilize it as a seed to grow, and you plant it in places that it can grow for you, it's going to make your life ultimately easier, and it's going to attract more overflow to you as well. All right. So, like I said, in terms of giving you a way to step out of poverty programming, we were talking about writing down something that you've caught yourself saying over and over again. Some examples: I'll never get ahead. Um, Money always slips through my fingers, or I don't deserve overflow. It can be whatever statement is personal to you. But what I want you to do once you have figured out that statement is I want you to look at the thought. And I want you to recognize that it's your poverty programming. I want you to recognize that the tape in your brain is replaying, and whatever you dominantly focus on, you will have. And every time that tape is running over in your head, your nervous system is normalizing it. Your body is normalizing what you don't want, because whatever whatever out of the abundance, like I think about it, the Bible says out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. Whatever you focus on, you'll have. And so if you keep running the lie through your brain, it normalizes it and it makes it so that you believe it's true whether or not it is. Yep. So now that you have recognized that it's a lie and you've recognized the pattern, what you need to do is flip it into overflow language. So instead of saying, I'll never get ahead, money flows to me in ways I can sustain, multiply, and steward well. Every dollar I receive grows because I know how to use it wisely. Wealth is my birthright because it is. God actually says that in the Bible. And I am safe receiving it. And the key part in that is that you're safe receiving it, because you can say these things over and over again, but if you don't feel safe receiving it, if your nervous system doesn't normalize that overflow is normal to you, you're going to sabotage. You're never going to be able to follow through. You're always going to be out of alignment because you have repeated the patterns. Yes, safety. You've repeated those patterns over and over again. So now it's time to ground yourself in safety. So what I want you to notice here too is that this isn't fluffy positive thinking. I think a lot of people get caught up in the hyper positivity, and that's not what I'm doing here. I'm helping you to identify where you have limiting beliefs and reprogram it, so that you are essentially arresting the negative thought and you're flipping the script and saying, wait, no, this isn't what I believe. This is not true. This is what I have instead. And you're teaching your brain a new normal. It's retraining your reticular activating system, your RAS, to be able to spot what it is you want to focus on, because it goes back to whatever you focus on becomes true and becomes normal for you. So you want to start focusing on the good so that you can shift out of survival and autopilot and into an overflow identity. I'm sorry if that was loud. Y'all, I run a robot vacuum every night because I'm honestly, I don't have time or patience to sweep and mop every night, but it's fine. Or empowered. No. Yes, or empowered enough to govern money well. And governing money well, the truth is, it's really simple, but most people miss it because they're too busy being stuck in survival and thinking that it's never going to work for them. Money, actually, the principles of how to utilize your money is actually very simple. It starts with prioritizing yourself. You pay yourself first. Every time money comes in, you take a portion of that money and you put it aside. And that amount will look different depending on the person and where you're at in your journey. But you're going to pay yourself first, whether that's $5, whether that's $100, or $1,000. I don't ever care. I don't care about the amount, because at this point, it's a pattern. You're trying to create a pattern of prioritizing yourself. And a lot of women feel guilty about prioritizing themselves. And so I'm here to tell you that if you want money to work for you, you have to use the tool as it was created. So that's paying yourself first. After that, you have to get yourself in a place where you are no longer in what I call high interest debt. So that's the credit cards, that's the personal loans, that's the like payday loans, things like that. If you've got any of those, that's your first. Well, actually, that's your second. So pay yourself first. Get to $1,000 as quickly as possible. That's your emergency fund, and then it's tackle your high interest debt. And then after you've tackled your high interest debt, then we build our emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of savings. And then from there, you start to invest your money in ways that it can grow. And the reason that I build it that way, and that's honestly, if you talk to any financial expert, that is what they'll tell you. They tell you to get your emergency fund together first. That's that first $1,000, because life is always going to happen. They're going to tell you to pay off they're going to tell you basically pay off any debt but your house, because most debt outside of your home is high interest debt for the average person. And it's usually keeping the average person from being able to step into a life of financial freedom, because most of the vehicles that are utilized for investing are only going to grow 8 to 10%, depending. There's a few different vehicles, but the best ones are going to grow 8 to 10%. Your high interest debt, meaning your credit cards, your personal loans, are anywhere from 21 to 29%, depending on your credit. And that's why you have to prioritize paying those off first. There's obviously methods out there that you can utilize to pay off that debt. But once it's paid off, you now have the ability to start investing your money. I recommend putting your emergency fund in a high yield savings account to start, because you get monthly interest at a rate of 4 to 5%. And then from there, you can move into money market accounts. You can move into ETFs. You can move into stocks, bonds, CDs. There are a number of things that you can do to help grow your money. And the stock market doesn't have to be scary. I know some people are cautious of stepping into the stock market and stepping into investing their money because they're risk adverse. But here's the truth: the stock market on average grows 8 to 10% per year. And it's a long-term game. The stock market is not where you are going to go and get rich overnight. It's called passive income for a reason. And it's passive because it's meant to beat inflation over time. It is meant for you to invest that money so that when you do hit the age of retirement and you want to stop working your 9 to 5 job, you have beat inflation enough to be able to comfortably retire and have income still coming in. That's how most people utilize the stock market. Obviously, you've got the traders at the top that know how to do what I would deem as day trading. That's a whole different conversation. To manage large swings of money, but most people are beating inflation over time. That's their goal, the stock market. And then for those of you who really truly want to get into a place of financial freedom where they leave the job life behind, because I call the job life just over broke. That's when you start making money faster. That's when you take skills that you have and you turn them into repeating money. Hence things like my journal, things like my community. I have a Discord community where I teach women financial principles. I help them build their emergency fund. I help them get their mindset right so that they can have a community of people that are working towards the same goal. Not allowing, they're working towards the same goal, because most people fail at what they're set out to do because they don't have anybody around them to support them. Ask me how I know. A lot of what I am doing right now is trial and error, because I've never done it before. I've never built a business. I've never built a successful business. Let me put it out there like that. I've never built a successful business. And so what did I have to do so that I didn't fail? I went and found a community of women who were trying to do the same thing as me. So now I'm providing that same type of community to women who want to be financially free, but need encouragement, need somebody like, hey, this was hard. Can I call you? That's my ultimate goal here. My ultimate goal is to help women who want to make money faster. They don't just want to beat inflation over time. They want to figure out what their skills are and provide value to the world so that they can bring money in that isn't just their job. So those are the types of things that I work on in my community. I teach them how to monetize those skills, where they can go to get resources, how to set up their businesses appropriately. So all of those things are things that I teach in my community. But what I want you to know is Wealthy You is not far away. She's one mindset shift away. And staying broke was never meant for you, but overflow won't chase you until you reprogram out of poverty. So I want you to start noticing the programming. You've got to replace with the truth of overflow. And you've got to do the daily work to make it stick. And the daily work is every time you have the thought, you have to say, no, this isn't true, and reframe it for what is truth. And you don't, like I said, and you don't have to do it alone. That's why I created the Discord community. It's a space where we break poverty programming together. I share overflow strategies. I help keep people accountable, because I don't want you to fall back into survival mode. So if you're ready to stop circling the same cycle and actually live in overflow, you can join the community tonight. Just let me know if you're ready and put a 1 in the comments, and I'll show you how to join. I do have a special offer for if you are interested. Oh, I think TikTok's about to yell at me. Yep. Okay. But I do have a special offer for anybody who wants to join tonight. I'm giving 3 months for the price of 1 within my community, where you're going to get access to weekly teaching just like this, but on a Zoom call where we can talk, where you'll get access to one-on-one time with me. You'll get access to the tools that I've developed for my community, in terms of helping you to build your budget, in terms of helping you to build your emergency fund. You'll get tools that are going to help you discover your skill set so that if you do want to make money faster, you can. You want something too? Okay. So, like I said, for tonight, the offer, I've got 3 seats available, and I totally get it in terms of wanting to secure an income. But I'm, as far as the skill set side of it, do you, and I'm not sure what's going on with I know you said you're coming and rebuilding because you've lost it all. Have you considered utilizing a skill set to help you on the make money faster side? And the reason I asked that question is because I fully believe that God put an aspect of himself in every last one of us, and everybody got something different. And everybody has a skill that provides value to this world. And some of us know, and some of us don't. But that skill was why God put you on this earth. And he wants you to be of value to the people on this earth. And that skill is the place that you're supposed to step into in order to provide that value. And so one of my passion projects is helping women discover that skill and helping them to turn it into value for the world so that they can make money faster. And that's why I built the community. The other stuff is just I like talking about it. I teach it. I taught it to myself, so I teach it to others. But my passion project is helping women develop that skill. I've been asked to keynote on occasion. So you like to speak. So you've got speaking skills. Is it a specific topic that you talk about a lot, or is it just that you have a presence when you're speaking? Both? Okay. I guarantee you there's probably a topic that you could talk about for hours on end. And that's probably where you're going to provide your value, the most value. I can talk about finances for hours on end to anybody. I could talk to a wall if I have to. That's my skill. You probably have a topic very similar, or not, or a topic that is specific to you, not very similar, sorry, specific to you, that if you were to really hone in on it, you could build your platform off of it. And your platform doesn't have to be hard. I didn't know who I was going to teach finance to. And then I was like, oh, there's social media for that. Like literally, I had no idea how to create a YouTube video, how to create a TikTok video. Y'all, I didn't even have TikTok until I started this. My child was like, I was a low social media person. Like I had a Facebook because I got one when I went to college. I had an Instagram. I didn't even scroll on Instagram. So I had a very low social media presence when I first got started. And I realized I don't know how I'm going to teach finance to people if they don't know it exists. And so I was like, well, social media is the only way. But then if y'all really scroll back to like my videos from 6 months ago, a year ago, like you'll see I've even gone through like a whole bunch of stuff. Like my first videos on this TikTok account were me making jewelry. So because I make jewelry, that's my other business. And then from there, I started making t-shirts because I have a big creative streak, and I like to create for the therapy of it. And so I was trying to sell t-shirts, but personal finance has been my thing since I was a kid. I always was trying to talk to somebody about some money. And I'm giving you this example because I want you to understand that having great speaking skills is I don't know if you follow Myron Golden. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. But I don't know if you follow Myron Golden, but he calls the levels of value um, in terms of the value you provide to the world. So communication is the third level of value, right? He's got a few videos out there like that. I might have to go dig up the most recent one I listened to, but communication is when you start to step into higher levels of value. So it takes your income from that $80,000 to $100,000 a year into more like the 100 to $300,000 a year. I think is the banding that he put on it. I can't exactly remember off the top of my head, but communication is a skill set that most people do not do well. And so because of that, they stay in the lower levels of value, which is the first one is you're doing the work yourself. So think of like the hard laborers, where the maids, the fast food workers, the zero to I think it's like 0 to 80 is what he put the band in there in terms of money. And then the next level is the people that go into management. They manage the people that are on the lower level, and they make a little bit more. So that's more like that 80 to 100. And then communication is when you start getting into sales. And people who are high level communicators are the people who can increase their income significantly because they know how to communicate value well. The value is, what is this going to do for you? I.e., when you join my community, you no longer are going to be allowed to stay in survival mode, because I'm going to show you how to step out by getting your finances in order with X, Y, and Z. So like that's communication of value. You get time with me to discuss your personal situation so that you have a plan of attack for how you're going to leave survival mode behind, as an example of how you communicate value. And then the next level up from there is the visionaries. The visionaries are the people who have taken communication and now they have a vision that, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the notes directly in front of me, but they now have a vision on how to create assets essentially. So think of his mindset times skill set times tool set equals assets. They've created assets that they are able to print on repeat and leverage to be able to be high level money makers is the simplest way to say it. So if you know that you already have communication skills, you're already on your way to the top as it relates to the levels of value. Now it's just time for you to hone in on what is that topic that is going to allow me to provide. Yeah. Okay. Same. I took that deep breath because I did the same thing. I was when my divorce started, I took a role in management and I did it for a year and I was like, nope, this is too much for me out because I was frozen. I was like, you want me to manage children? Because that's what I felt like I was when I was managing children. um, and I just can't handle it right now. I got my own children that I'm trying to manage. So I went back to individual contributor for that same reason. And I don't have a desire, ironically, to manage in corporate America anymore. My desire is to actually help people through my own community. So that's the goal. My goal is to eventually replace my corporate America income so that I can do what my real passion is, and that's help women. I've always had a passion to help women. So I feel like we're mirroring each other a little bit. But in terms of you getting stuff together, I hope that at least helped you to start to hone in. Yeah, good. I'm excited. I can't wait for you to be able to join too. But I hope that allows you to the the information I gave you allows you to help you hone in on what skill that you may have so that you can begin to put a plan in place. And then when you're ready to join, we can start to build that plan out for you and give you a more strategic way to move forward. Because I have some tools that will allow you to hone in deeper, figure out a strategy for how to move forward, and then from there it's just working the strategy. So I'm looking forward to it too. Like I said, that's the passion project side for me. But in the meantime, for anybody else who's listening, like I said, the community is available. But if you just want a way to step out of survival mode, I also have a journal that's linked in my bio. But I am going to have to hop off of here because it's almost 11 o'clock my time and I have to get my kids to school in the morning. So I need to get some sleep. 6 o'clock comes early. I really enjoyed hanging out with you all tonight. I am actively working towards, just in case y'all want to come back, I always try, you can speak life into a rock, but sis, sis. All right. We're gonna talk about this, but but thank you so much, Miss Natasha. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm like getting all close because the letters are, y'all. I'm tired. Just, but I will be back live tomorrow. The plan is to come back live tomorrow, maybe around this time, maybe a little bit sooner. Thursdays, I typically go live in the evenings after work about 5:30 or so. So I'm always trying to bring something to you all that you can implement right now. So there's always some kind of value here. Because once again, I follow Myron Golden, and anything that I give you is going to be something that can shift your life today. Because why wouldn't I? Like, if I can't help you for free, why not? Um, but yeah, so have a great night, and I will see you all next time I'm live. Bye, y'all.